Shalom. All praise, glory, and honor be unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Machak. Peace and double honor to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone, Shalom, and to the elect. Getting into news and prophecy lesson. All right, very exciting news coming out. Something that we have been closely, keeping an eye on and watching for. It says Trump, this is from CNN.com, Trump says, and this is breaking, all right, June 12th, which is today's date, okay, Thursday, June 12th, 2025. Trump says Israeli strike on Iran could very well happen and warns of possible massive conflict in Middle East. Massive conflict. So right now, as soon as that gets said, already the light bulb should be popping up in your head and different precepts should be popping up, because this is prophecy unfolding. All right, it says President Donald Trump warned Thursday of the possibility of massive conflict in the Middle East that could take place soon. Okay, and go ahead and grab this precept out the gate. We'll get back to that article, but can't forget this one, all right? Joel 3:1, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, which Judah is the head tribe of the nation of Israel. So, and Jerusalem is the capital city, all right, which Jerusalem, when it's brought up in the scriptures, represents Israel, all right? Oftentimes, okay. I will also gather all nations. All nations, different nations are going to be gathered, right? And will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, and will plead with them there. Plead means judge, okay. Yahweh Shaphat means Yahweh. Jehoshaphat means Yahweh's judgment. Shapat is judgment. Mashapat. Judgment, all right? And it's set up because this is the end of heathen rulership. And we are literally seeing it unfold, man. You know, we could be out of here by the end of the year, the way things are moving. Or early next year, who knows? But we have to move as though the Lord could be back any day now. So, reading on though, it says, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, right? Because the people have not acknowledged, the nations have not acknowledged us as the real Israelites. They have not acknowledged us as the top nation on earth, so-called Black, Latino, Native American, the diaspora of Israelites scattered among all the heathen nations who are of the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, because the Most High God is a racist. He's dealing with his people. The Bible is the story of world history from the perspective of the chosen people. All right, so the conflicts, and there's conflicts outside of the scope of what's included in the scriptures when you get into different regions, but primarily the conflicts and the kingdoms that you will read about are the major kingdoms that have ruled and that have had an effect on the Lord's people. All right, whether it be the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans, okay? Now leading into these last days, you know, we're on the bottom, and the nations are partaking in this man dealing with the so-called white man's kingdom. All right, but there's going to be a judgment for what has happened. All right, and they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. All right, that's dealing with what? Us being put in captivity. Okay. That's the detestable things that they did to us, man. And that's mentioning our children, all right, the young of our people, you know, the youths. Okay, now let's jump down to the 9th verse. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, and proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. The men of war, okay, prepare war, wake up his mighty men. Yeah, all the men of war draw near. All right, all of the nations, prepare your armies, your mighty men, your elite military forces, prepare them. Because there is a judgment, and that is the third woe, World War III, okay? And this whole LA riot thing and the riots happening here seems like a major distraction to get people's eye off the situation in the situation dealing with Israel and Iran in the so-called Middle East. Okay, because Israel is poised to strike. Okay, that's what they're saying. All right, we'll see. It could be that could be a negotiation tactic, because if they make it look like they're about to, which they have evacuated a lot of people from that area, because they're saying that it could be popping off any minute now. But that could just be a negotiation tactic for them to try to get Iran to accept whatever deal. But Iran ain't going for that. All right, I don't see that. I don't see it going that way. All right, and then coinciding with 2 days from now, President Trump's major military parade, man, it's looking like things are about to get real hectic, man, domestically and abroad. And it's all America is at the center of all of this controversy, okay? Because the Lord has a controversy, because America has enslaved the Lord's people. So America is tied up. Babylon the Great is tied up. All right, but it says what? Beat your plowshares in the soil. Let me read the 9th verse again. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. So your plowshare, the plowshare is what? An agricultural instrument, and so is a pruning hook. Okay, so it's saying what? Beat them into swords and the pruning hooks into spears. All right, so put the money to feed your people. All right, which when things are more peaceful, you'd be able to do that. But instead, what? Use it towards military spending. Let the weak say, I am strong. Okay, these nations, now they're able to say they're strong because they're being armed. Iran is one of them. Now that country will formerly be considered weak in comparison with superpowers, but now they're getting in the nuclear game, which they have been for a while, but now they're getting to the point where they can have a nuclear weapon. All right, and it wouldn't take long. Okay, and also Russia could just set up shop and set up missiles and things in Iran because they're allies. All right, that's Ezekiel 38. All right, be thou a guard unto them. So the Medes and the Persians, the Medes and end time prophecy is the so-called is the Russians. All right, and then you have the Persians, which are the Iranians. Okay, so it says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about, to the cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. All right, so what? Cause all the heathen to come down and to get ready for this controversy. Let the heathen be wakened for this conflict. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And that's going to be when they get all gathered over there. And this may be one of the things that leads to them getting over there. And once they go over there, it's going to be a few things lined up. We got to wait for it. We know the MOTB prophecy, so the destruction is not going to come just yet. But they could drop the MOTB and make that thing mandatory because of the immigration crisis. So it's a perfect storm of prophecy. Let's see how it plays out and continue to pray to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai to hasten the day. All right, but we're coming into the time of the fulfillment of all these things, man. So call halal Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. All right. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. And that sickle going in is, you can precept that to Revelation 19. Because that's coincided with what? Yahweh Shai's return. He's the real grim reaper.
All right, he's going to reap that harvest. And what is that harvest? Let's read 14. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua is near in the valley of decision. All right, because if they go at Israel, America is going to be forced, and the allies of America and Israel, which you could consider the West, is going to be forced to defend them. All right, and all you dummies, you jakes that signed up for the military, you're going to be sent over there to face that judgment. All right, let's get this though. Revelation 11 and let's see, 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So that's what we have tied in with here. Okay. They're tired of it, what's happening with Gaza and all that. So that's the dragons of Arabia, those Arab countries, all right, allying up with the Carmanians, which are the Persians, okay, in order to do what? In order to, have an alliance to resist the Western powers of Esau, Edom, all right. But it says, U.S. officials are increasingly concerned that the risk of Israel striking Iran has risen after Tehran said on Thursday that it would ramp up its nuclear activities due to the International Atomic Energy Agency passing a resolution saying that the country was not in compliance with its non-proliferation commitments, senior U.S. officials told CNN. Questioned about a potential strike on Thursday, Trump said it could very well happen. I don't want to say imminent, but you already said it. I don't want to say imminent, but it's, you know how that works, man. He said it. I don't want to say it, but I'm really saying it, right? But it's something that could very well happen. Trump told reporters at the White House, U.S. embassies in the Middle East carry into these guys, they're not on the front lines, all right? So to them, it's just moving around useless eaters, man. The power of commanding armies, not really thinking about how this is a snare set up to destroy them. All right, this is the end of their kingdom, but they want to go over there and they want to, shit on Iran and think they're gonna have their way. This is where, hey, it ain't gonna work. How all these other countries, it ain't gonna be as simple as in Afghanistan or in Iraq, okay, or Libya or Syria. This is a very different beast right here, okay. They keep insisting Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, but apparently it came out that they had spies go in and find out that Israel has more nuclear power than what they're saying. Okay, but ultimately Israel has a lot of nuclear power because whatever America has, is theirs. Because those small hats, they rule the world, man. All right, and that's clearly not the people of the Most High, man. Those are the Edomites that are living in that land. All right, a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, Zechariah 9:6. They are the bastard that's dwelling in Ashdod. All right, Ezekiel 35. All right, matter of fact, we could pull that real quick. Or I think it's no, not 35, 36. 35 is good too. But 36 says, Ezekiel 36:5. Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey. Okay, so what's that? The Edomites that are over there, all right, the small hats, they are Edomites. Okay, that's what Idumea means, Edom. All right, people will get all bent out of shape because we say that they're the Edomites. Well, who else is the Edomites? Who else is doing all the wickedness? Who else has appointed the land of Israel into their possession to cast it out for a prey? All right, and who else is over there pushing the most wickedness, man? These small hats, okay? Sodomite parades and all types of madness. But, it's going to be revealed soon that they're not the people of the Lord. All right, the people of the Lord are primarily here in America, and so-called dark-skinned Black, Latino. Well, it's not necessarily about dark skin, but we are primarily a brown skinned nation. All right, because you have Israelites that are super light and it might actually pass as an Edomite, but yet their father's line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But the point being is that the Lord's people have color. All right, the scripture says that
The Lord's heritage is like a speckled bird. So there's different shades of brown, but primarily the Lord's people have color, man. All right, they're brown skin, okay, which is the so-called black, Latino, and Native American, and the diaspora scattered throughout the nations. All right, one example is the Sicilians. The Sicilians are also Israelites because the Moors conquered that island and took it over, which were Israelites, okay? The Moors were Israelites. They conquered that land, okay, and they took it over, and they killed all the men, and they took the women and had babies. So those Sicilians that you see over there, all the Sicilians I met, man, they straight up Jake, all right? I haven't met, hey man, there might be some out there that made it onto that island if they're not Jake, but every Sicilian that I met, you know, I'll say overwhelming majority of them are Israelites, man. All right, but the point being, going back to this, all right, I don't want to say imminent, but it's something that could very well happen. Trump told reporters at the White House, U.S. embassies in the Middle East carried out emergency action assessments this week, and that process is ongoing as the U.S. monitors the threat environment in the region. The official said wars and rumors of wars. Ask what and if they hit Iran, that Strait of Hormuz is getting closed, and you're going to have a crazy effect on the economy. In fact, the markets dropped today, and I do believe they're going to drop tomorrow based off the news of what's happening. Knowing that Trump is talking this talk, knowing of what's happened domestically stateside with all these different Democrat cities, people rising up in these ICE, which is all a setup. It's an obvious setup, you know, agent provocateurs and whatnot. You know, heavily featured in the news, you know, the news cycle focused on it nonstop. All right, if there was anything to that movement that was gonna, you know, actually prevent them from doing what they want to do, they wouldn't even cover it. All right, but you have, you know, this truth. They're not gonna put us on the news. Well, eventually they will, because they want to demonize us, but you know, they avoid us like the plague, because they know this truth that we have is what's destroying their kingdom and bringing their end. Okay, so when they ready to put us on the news, that's how you know the end could be any day after that. All right, because that's their last desperation move. All right, they didn't tell me anything, but I said, look, there's a chance of massive conflict. He described the deliberations that led him to the decision. We have a lot of American people in this area, and I said, look, we got to tell them to get out because something could happen soon. And I don't want to be the one that didn't give any warnings and missiles are flying into their buildings. It's possible. So I had to do it, you know. I had the choice. Do I do it or not? Doing it has its downside, but it also has its upside. Like, you're going to save a lot of lives if it should happen. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Looking like it's leaning that way, man. That something is going to pop off. Let's see. Later Thursday, Trump in a Truth Social post underscored his preference for diplomacy in Iran, saying his administration remains committed to a diplomatic resolution to the Iran nuclear issue. That way they can, you know, wipe their hands and look pure and look clean, like they've dealt justly, but they have not. Okay. Trump also said he does not want Israel to target Iran as negotiations on a potential nuclear deal continue, with a 6th round of talks set for Sunday in Oman. I want to have an agreement with Iran. We're fairly close to an agreement. As long as I think there's an agreement, I don't want them going in because that would blow it. Might help it, actually, but also could blow it, he said when asked about a potential Israeli strike. Meanwhile, even if they did agree, all right, they're going to find a way to say that was all bullshit. They're going to find a way, you know, if Israel and Iran come to an agreement, Israel's going to find a way to demonize Iran. They also said that there was supposedly a threat of Iranian assassination attempt on high-level people in the Trump administration. All right, so they could easily set up a false flag. They're going to go and assassinate another high-level figure over there. You know, they're not committed to. Anytime they try to tell you like they're going to with good intentions to try to actually make an agreement, it's all bullshit. They don't want an agreement. They want to wipe Iran out. Okay, but hey, according to prophecy, they're gonna be you know, that conflict is the one that's gonna set it off and set up the chess pieces for World War III. Okay. So hey, call Allah Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah. Lord's will, you edified. On to the next one.